Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. My name is Adam Portrais, and I'm joined as always by Sean Keenan.
Artie goes fast.
And of course, Mr. Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and I'm also Killer Frost.
He's a little bit of everybody, and we are here today to talk about Season 3 of The Flash, boy. Man, oh man, like all network television shows, we have 8,000 episodes in it. Some of those are helpful, some of those maybe not so much. Maybe we'll get into a little bit on today's episode. We covered the first couple episodes, a few episodes of ours back. So if you'd like to go listen to that, feel free to go do that. But we're going to be talking all about Season 3 here. So if you aren't caught up, you ought to get caught up before you do all of this because we do the spoilers and whatnot, man. So be on top of it. You know what I'm saying?
Don't get yourself spoilt.
Don't be spoilt for nothing, man. It ain't going to do you no good. It's just going to rile the system. You don't want that. I don't want that. Nobody.
I would argue that we unknowingly spoiled the season finale when we reviewed the first part of the season. If you want to go back and re-listen to that.
like the show itself, we're just folding in on things. So, we'll talk about that, man. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you to those who send us emails at heromoviepodcast@gmail.com. We have one or two of those here today, so why don't we open up the old HMP mailbag?
Bale's here.
Well, we got an email in from the best disgraced cop that listens to this show, Michael Podorski.
Podorski, I want your gun and your badge.
And his is entitled Wonder Woman. I saw Wonder Woman on Friday, and overall, I was very pleased. During the scene when she first steps onto the battlefield, a salty liquid-like substance began to leak from my eyes. I thought the scene was about as powerful.
Oh God, I hope it was tears.
He said eyes.
Please let it be tears, please.
It's eyes. I'm pretty sure that's what he put together. I thought the scene was about as powerful as anything as I've seen in a long time. I will say on the negative side that the ending was a bit disappointing, and the reveal of, spoiler alert everybody, Ares was weak and generic. I feel that the movie was very good, but may be slightly overrated due to its cultural importance. If Zack Snyder were the director and the movie turned out exactly the same, I feel the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes that score would be much lower. I'd say it was as good as Man of Steel, which itself is criminally underrated, but far better than Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. In closing, great step up for the DCEU and comic book movies in general. That is from Michael Podorski.
Podorski, you're a loose cannon.
Watch out now. The next one here is from our good buddy, Ben. Hi, guys. Been listening to the show for a while now and love it. Love is in all caps, everybody. I mean, y'all are freaking awesome. Bruce is a genius. Sean is hilarious. And Adam is a steadfast talk show cornerstone with a strength not to be able to read, clearly, with a strength heretofore unknown to science. I am literally listening to the Josie and Pussycats episode as I type this, and I really just want to hear all of y'all's opinion on wearing socks and sandals at the same time. My predictions. Adam won't have an opinion because he only wears Vans. Sean will scoff at the very thought. And Bruce, my man Bruce, will be wholeheartedly support this just cuz. Anyway, thanks for all you guys do. All the best. Heidi's brother.
So, Bruce, you go first, buddy.
Hey, man, I'm barefoot right now, but if I weren't, I would have my socks and sandals on.
You know, honestly, for those of us that really know Bruce, yeah, it honestly would not be a shock. If Bruce came in, if Bruce this next coming week comes to Heroes Con in socks and sandals, I'd look and I'd go, that's about right.
But I want to make it clear, only dark colored dress socks.
He's classy.
Only.
He's classy.
So here is my opinion on this, right? So yes, I can't stand them, but let me get a little bit deeper here, right? So I am picking up my daughter from school one day, and there is another father in the office with me. This dude is around my age, and he has on Seinfeld jeans, so the whitest, like cheesiest looking basketball like style sneakers you've ever seen in your life, and like a bum equipment shirt on.
Ooh.
And I literally looked at him and I thought to myself, like, when did you give up trying to be awesome? Like, because you clearly have totally and utterly given up. Because it's not like he was like, oh, I'll put on my crappy clothes because I got to do some disgusting work today. He literally put those on so he would look presentable for school, to go to school. And I like, at what point does someone just say, you know what? I don't care what the opposite sex thinks about me. Like,
Right.
I don't know when that happens. But that guy was clearly there, and nothing says, I do not want sex anymore, like sandals with black socks.
Indeed.
Now, in all fairness, I am wearing my Power Rangers ninja pants, so that counts for something, right?
All is forgiven then, I suppose.
I don't know what to say here, Bruce, because I like you as a human being. So, like, I want to attack because it's just my go-to, and I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be an adult. I believe it's called adulting.
I'm gonna call the people in just the white jackets to come in and just do what they got to do.
Ladies love the Power Rangers, man. Just keep that in mind, Sean.
I disagree with you. I strongly disagree.
I think there are actual scientific studies out there that wholeheartedly disagree with this quote unquote fact you're conjuring up here. So no. No. First of all, sandals and socks are a no. That's just bad. Even worse, though, is your flip-flops and socks. I've seen that. And unless your name's Ethan Klein, you can't do that.
With the thing between your toe.
Yeah. There's only one guy that can get away with that. It's Ethan Klein. Outside of that, forget it. The rest of you take your socks off, you bunch of schmoes.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say Jesus.
And Jesus. Ethan Klein and Jesus, both Jews. So there you go.
Big fashion horse, that guy.
Yep. It's the new trend, the Air Jesus. It's just a sandal. It's just a sandal socks.
Keeps your feet dry when you're walking on water.
It's when Jesus has to play a little b-ball and kind of bust a move on somebody. What have we gotten ourselves into? All right. Today, everybody, we are covering The Flash here, and I got a little something, not quite a trailer, but a slight rejoinder to give you an idea of what we may have talked about previously.
With my friends at Star Labs, I fight crime and find other metahumans like me. In an attempt to stop the evil speedster Savitar, I was accidentally thrust into the future, and I saw him murder the woman that I love. But I won't let that happen. I'm gonna do everything in my power to change the future, and I'm the only one fast enough to keep her alive. I am the Flash.
All right, everybody, that was the kind of teaser trailer, I guess you will, for The Flash Season 3. Again, spoilers for all of Season 3 here, boy. And before we get to it, we've got to get to our weekly segment that we always enjoy around here.
It's time for Bruce's comic book connection.
All right, Bruce, lay it on us.
I like to let the reverb play out there.
That's a pro, boy. That's a pro.
Well, Caitlin Snow is the third person in the DCU to be known as Killer Frost. The first was Crystal Frost, who turned evil because Martin Stein wouldn't do the old slap and tickle with her. Now, the first Killer Frost was specifically on a murderous rampage against all men. She hated men like you wouldn't believe. And then Firestorm killed her because he's not one, but two men. And then she became a Black Lantern that, guess what, still hated men. Now, next in line was Louise Lincoln. She was Crystal Frost's friend and became evil to avenge the death of her evil BFF. Now, she became part of Suicide Squad, and she was also a metahuman prize fighter for a while. I don't think she ever died, so I'm not sure why a third Killer Frost came around in the first place. Now, in the Forever Evil storyline, it started about a year into the New 52. Caitlin Snow showed up as the third Killer Frost, a scientist sent to Star Labs Outpost number 72 in the Arctic to work on a thermodynamic engine whose creator had committed suicide. Snow soon discovered the place had been infiltrated by Hive agents, and when they tried to kill her inside the engine, Snow frantically ripped off the coolant system, merging her body with ice, and she was transformed into what they call a heat vampire. Doesn't steal your blood, it steals your heat. So she killed the Hive agents out of revenge, and then she wandered out into the cold until she came across a Norwegian camp, which I imagine she was drawn to the smell of lutefisk. And she took all of their heat, too. She made it back to her hometown of Pittsburgh, PA. Shout out to all you Penguins hockey fans. And she later encountered the superhero Firestorm and discovered that his nuclear powers could temporarily heal her mutation. Now, when the crime syndicate took over Earth, Caitlin was among the villains that banded together to oppose them. In DC Rebirth, Caitlin Snow was taken to Belle Rev Penitentiary, where she's introduced to the Suicide Squad and offered a place on the team by Amanda Waller. After that, she found herself as part of the recently formed Justice League of America that's made up of Batman, the Atom, Lobo, Black Canary, Vixen, the Ray, and of course the aforementioned Killer Frost. So I wonder, is it possible, now that she's been part of the Suicide Squad and the Justice League of America, is it possible that some future DCEU movies could get a little snowy and add Killer Frost to their ever-expanding roster? And just because I think it's cool, I'm also going to let you know that the Caitlin Snow version of Killer Frost appeared in the web series DC Superhero Girls, voiced by Danica McKellar. And I tell you that because 12-year-old Bruce really had a weakness for one Winnie Cooper.
Who amongst us
I
did?
did not know that.
I didn't until earlier today.
Let me tell you something. I think that's a great idea for a movie for DC. Is you set it in the Arctic and you have like Killer Frost or somebody like that as the bad guy, just taking people out like it's the John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
What a great idea.
And it
I think it would
already
work, man.
it already lends into their bleak and dire aesthetic that they've been working on for a couple of
Bruce,
movies
you're
now.
2 for 2 tonight on the great ideas, man. Good job by you.
Yeah, it's almost as good as that short round idea I had a few years back.
How dare you, Leslie? You've made
Okay.
a not so powerful enemy today, Bruce Leslie.
Oh, man, it's like making an enemy of a watch battery, right? Or a hearing aid battery. I don't know if watches still have batteries. But another spoiler warning. I want to spoil everybody again. We're gonna dive into some details here because I really want to throw out a callback to the first portion of this season that we reviewed. And I asked Sean, I said, Sean, so after Savitar, what do they have left? They've used up everything. What could possibly be the big bad for next season? Do you remember what your answer was, Sean?
It's going to be a bad Barry.
From the future.
Yep.
And boy, if we weren't what the young kids call prescient, because we knew what was going to happen.
Kids
Only was this season
kids
instead
be
of
throwing
next.
around prescient like there ain't
Which
no-
young kids are you hanging out with?
The ones on that Howard Hessman show with all the smart kids like Arvin.
Oh my God. Well, that is the oldest reference in the world. Oh my God.
Bruce
Head of the
is
class?
Robin Givens. That's who I was hanging out with.
Head of the class? Is that the
That
name?
was it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bruce is like the Steve Buscemi in the thing. Draws it. Hey, young kids. That's exactly.
Hello, fellow youngsters.
Would you like to sell me some narcotics?
Yeah. It's like, we don't buy it, old man. You and your
Oh,
head of the
man,
class
so-
references.
That's so good. So where do we start here? You want to start with characters? You want to start with whether or not we?
Here's what I want to throw out there, man.
Lots of season 3. What?
Well, here's what I want to throw out there just to kind of start things off, because it's a big, long season. There's a whole lot to slog through. We're kind of focusing on the second, or not the second half, but the last 8 episodes. But there's a whole lot of stuff in the middle that may come up. But I don't know, maybe we want to just start off with some of the either craziest or most like, why did they do that? Sort of WTF moments from the last 8 episodes, because I'm going to say that this doesn't feel like the first 2 seasons of The Flash felt.
No, they're running out of ideas quickly. As I was saying in the pre-show tonight, I hate a musical. I hate it. And you get enough people from Glee on your show, there's going to be a musical episode. And so there was a musical episode this year. It is it's worthless. There's no reason for it there, except that you have 24 episodes and you got to fill time.
And I'm going to go ahead and add to that to say that it was, even people that like musicals maybe wouldn't enjoy this one because it had enough music to annoy the non-musical people, but it wasn't like wall-to-wall singing on the episode like I would have expected. Scrubs did a musical episode. I don't care for musicals, but I love that one because it had a song called Everything Comes Down to Pooh. And this one seriously could have used a song like that. There was, the original songs, if they were original or maybe they weren't original and they're just so obscure in my world that I didn't recognize them, they weren't catchy. The only song I enjoyed was like the one I recognized that they sang at the beginning, I think. And then from there on out, they didn't really have anything that at least was catchy or fun to watch. I mean, it was kind of low energy for a musical, I thought.
Well, gentlemen,
Adam, you're the musical guy. What did
yes,
you think of it?
I love musicals. I'm a giant fan of musicals. And no.
Oh, wow.
I
would say the easiest thing to compare this to is the origin of the Music Meister is an episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold. And that's a musical episode that's pretty much beginning to end. All the dialogue is sung. That one is kind of fun. That one has better songs than the Flash Music Meister episode did, and kind of had a little better story to go along with it because the Music Meister is just a really dreamt up MacGuffin to give us a musical episode, whereas the Music Meister was the actual villain in the Batman the Brave and the Bold episode.
And I think that's where you're kind of right, where it's just like it feels like this was another, hey, look at who we got. What do you think we ought to do? Of course, that's what we ought to do. Let's go ahead and do it. Just because you can, don't mean you should.
Exactly.
It's like when the used car lot has one of those promotions where they say, come on down and meet the guy that played the Lone Ranger, and they don't even bother to have him wear the Lone Ranger outfit. He's just there in socks and sandals and a pair of cargo shorts. No kid is going to be satisfied with that. That's
exactly what I was thinking, Bruce. So I'm glad that you said it.
How used car lots always have the Lone Ranger in there. First of all, imagine anyone outside of Armie Hammer who's played the Lone Ranger. He's got to be 78 years old and barely able to walk, and he was a youngster when he started playing that role.
Well, I was talking about Armie Hammer because I went down to buy a used Kia and I was very disappointed.
Come on down this weekend to Metroline and Kia and meet Armie Hammer dressed up in cargo shorts and flip-flops.
With
Go
socks.
Get yourself a Sportage and shake Armie Hammer's hand.
Who is not happy to see you. He does not want to be here, but contractually he's obligated. He does not read fine print. What a moron.
He is unpleasant.
I heard he's a gentleman. Not today.
So, there's a lot of WTF moments this year. I think, though, like to keep going on. I think that a lot of the Killer Frost stuff was off this year. That Danielle Panabaker is a good-looking lady, but there's something off about that entire arc for me. I think it's the fact that there was like a life alert bracelet was the only thing that was keeping her from being Killer Frost.
Well, I definitely had some questions about the narrative and how they got from point A to point B, but I do like Danielle Panabaker as Killer Frost. I'm glad that at the end of the season they didn't just turn her back into Caitlin and keep this whole suppression thing. I think it works better for her.
You can't do that after everything that she's been through.
Right. And I'm glad they finally made the transition on her because I was starting to worry because I thought it would come sooner. But I think it's better for the show, better for her, better for the viewers.
Anyone else?
And you can have your Loki moment with her where, they need to ask her for advice. So it's like Hannibal Lecter, all of that works.
They can even go a little snart with her too, a little bit of anti-hero where as long as the, enemy of my enemy is my friend moments. And then at the end, they think they're all buddies again. And she freezes their feet to the ground and runs away.
Yeah, for sure.
it feels like also that like it came down from an actor complaint to where it was just like, can we stop with these wrist things? Can we do anything else? Oh, we're gonna make you a necklace now. Is that
she
better?
had like a locket for a little while instead of the wrist things.
Yeah, but like literally on account of the characters, just like I don't want to wear these no more, and they're like, well,
The
okay.
thing I started, we've all occasionally found ourselves. I don't know. For me, it'll be a con, for example, or maybe a really long road trip where your phone dies before you have a chance to recharge it. And I wonder, like, how often does she have to charge up those wristbands? Are they like Apple Watches where after 12 hours they're going to go down?
That's essentially
Yeah,
what
that's
she
a
makes it
very
out to
good
be.
question.
She makes it out to be just like, look, bro, why do I have to keep plugging myself in? And they're like, well, wear this pendant. You don't have to plug this in on account of gobbledygook. And then they just do it.
You don't plug that in, there's no murdering.
And then from a narrative point of view, I don't understand why her meta power turns her evil, because all the other metas that are criminals were criminals before they became metas. And then the metas that were sort of more heroic before they became metas remained heroic. She's the only one that had this alignment change to lawful evil from lawful good or whatever.
They do explain that, though. It's something about how her power set is evil by nature, so that's why it's one of those things.
It's one of those things where they say, we know you're asking this question, we don't have a good explanation, so we're just gonna say some gibberish. Because I've got another point in the show where I kind of point out where they've said, well, we got to sort of act like we at least tried to explain it, so let's flip the dictionary to 3 different pages. Whatever words we point to, we'll string those together and call that the reason.
It's the good old-fashioned never you mind.
But yeah, that kind of happens a little bit later. There's a lot of questions. It kind of reminds me of the scene in Looper when he says, well, how does this time travel work? And he's like, I'll tell you what, don't worry about it. Just trust me. This is how it goes. Like the writers are saying, we don't want to get caught up in the details of time travel. We're just trying to tell you a good story here.
That's my man right there.
Now,
That's some Ryan Johnson right there.
Now, speaking of which, I would say this whole season, and Flash in general, it's a good example of everything that is good and horrible with comics.
That is so funny, man, because I literally just had this conversation today. I'm talking to my brother-in-law, and I'm literally describing the Flash like this. When it is good, when they're firing on all cylinders, you're not going to find a better superhero TV show. But when it is bad, it is the worst garbage. It is like Riverdale bad. Where like the 17 or so hours of I'm not gonna marry you, Barry, like the like just forever of that, to the point where I if I see her on screen and she's giving me a sad face, I'm fast forwarding. I'm not watching it.
I'm not gonna. This is the first time this season where my eyes really started to roll. And for I try, man. I try so much because I'm trying to give credit and not point fingers and stuff in certain particular areas, because I just go, well, maybe it's the writing of this character. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. And as much as it pains me, I don't like saying it, but I think it's the actress. I don't think she's good in that role.
It's all of it. She's not a great actress, but the writing is also bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I try everything, but ugh.
And kind of beyond the writing, the plotting, the concept, the big story that, things that were put in place that the writers had no choice to deal with don't work. Like the fact that they're essentially foster brother and sister that grew up in the same house. I mean, there's so much going against that.
Yeah, you're right about that.
I, for one, was rooting for Savitar in the last couple of episodes.
But but there are things where and I watched the majority of this second half in a hotel room this weekend, and I was telling the other people in the room, I was listening to it in headphones on the laptop there and everything, and I'm screaming at the computer, just going, "Are you kidding me? He proposed to you, nevertheless." Just because it was on account of trying to, like, he literally did it to save your life, and you're like, but I thought this was real. Oh, shut up. Just shut up. It made me so mad that it's just like, this is what you're going to complain about? This is it. Dude.
And who's watching The Flash for that stuff, to be honest with you? Are there, like, is there a big lady contingent watching The Flash?
Yes, there actually is. And
I can see that, man. I can see that.
Well,
yeah,
okay.
it's the
All right.
CW. They probably
It
have
is.
a decent spread on the demographics.
Yeah,
with
people
men and
do.
women.
People
Look,
do think
I don't know about things. I'll be honest.
ladies think Gustin
Well-
is handsome, but I mean, like at the season 1 ender that they held over at the Heroes Aren't Hard to Find here in Charlotte was packed with ladies. So you know,
Wow.
yeah, more ladies than guys.
Now, on a more positive note, didn't you guys think it was awesome that we had an entire episode dedicated to Abracadabra?
Ugh, I want to reach out and
I
grab
love
you. Some of
that
the worst
actor.
lyrics ever.
I do not like that actor.
That actor is great, man, and he is in 3 different superhero franchise now.
What else is he in? I thought he absolutely lacked everything you need for Abracadabra. I did not enjoy him as Abracadabra.
He is in The Dark Knight because he is the cop. He's dressed as a cop, and you think it's the Joker at first, and it's just some weird guy.
Okay.
And he's in Ant-Man. He is the Russian guy in Ant-Man.
Okay, so I did like the Russian guy in Ant-Man. I didn't recognize him, but he really his lack of charisma, in my opinion, he seemed to put so little effort into Abracadabra. He made the Music Meister look good, in my opinion.
He looks so weird. I mean, he's just such a weird dude. He's got such a weird energy. I don't know why you would make him like the super villain of the week. I think that you'd make him like his charge hand or something. But he's I love that guy. I really do.
And also, how dare they not give him a top hat?
Well, that's you. That's on you, Leslie. Just because a man is a magician does not mean that he has to wear a top hat.
But Abracadabra does, man. He has a 64th century top hat that has science that looks like magic stuck in it. It's the same one, I think, that brought Frosty the Snowman to life.
Listen to everything you just said. You tell me why he doesn't have a top hat.
I'm hoping that next season he's the big bad and he gets a top hat.
Oh no!
But
The
historically,
C-lister got his top hat.
Historically, he's a major villain, a major enemy of Wally West's, particularly during Wally's time as the Flash, post-crisis. So I can see why they brought him in, but I don't know. It just seemed to lack something. It wasn't my Abracadabra, darn it.
Yeah. Now that actor's name is David. I used to know how to pronounce it because I heard him. He was David Dashamilkin or something like that. I forget how to
Nailed it.
pronounce it. Yeah, he was on an episode of Fat Man on Batman. Kevin Smith interviewed him. Interesting guy. Interesting backstory for that cat. So, dig up that episode, if you will. But I'm all right with him. I don't know that this is what he needs to do, but,
And then, that we also have an episode where Barry travels to the future, and we find out that Cisco had his hands frozen off by Killer Frost because she's gone pure evil at this point. I think it was the year 2024. And Top and Mirror Master are running Central City. And I have no problem with the idea that Cisco lost his hands and he can't vibe. Killer Frost turned evil and Barry became withdrawn. But you got to tell me, man, if that happened in Central City, there would be some villains better than Top and Mirror Master to run the city, right? I mean, that was just a weird combo to be running things.
It is, but I got to tell you, man, that is a really cool effect that they do with Mirror Master. Like, Mirror Master is a kind of a dopey villain in the first place, but I really think that is a good use of that character.
Now, was he in the first half of this season, or was it like last season?
He was.
Okay.
Yep.
I knew we had him earlier. I just couldn't quite remember where it was.
And I really like the way they've taken the Top and given her in the show, it's him in the comics, but they've really made her a lot like Count Vertigo, which works better than
Far better than just spinning around like an idiot.
Exactly. Though I would like it even better if she just had weaponized tops that she would spin at Barry.
What are you talking about, Bruce? This is so weird. What does the Flash look like in Leslie verse?
Oh man, he looks a lot like the Streak of Ray Stevens fame.
Makes sense.
Weaponized tops. Then there's the Marble Master.
That's just got a bomb on it, see?
Oh no, it's Deadly Jacks.
Oh no, it's Toss Across.
Oh man, but we get this little future endeavor in Central City where Barry starts to get some insight, and we get to see Barry with long hair. Now, I just have a bit of interesting trivia about Barry's long hair because for folks who follow Arrow, the flashbacks have finally ended with season 5. So he always had that mullet wig, is what I call it, that he wore in the flashbacks. And because it was going to be retired at the end of this season, it did a little tour on the other CW shows. So Barry is actually wearing Stephen Amell's flashback wig when he has long hair.
That's not
And then
true.
in
They
Legends of
CGI'd all
Tomorrow,
those
they had
actors.
Nate wearing it.
I figured that he just asked Garth Brooks for his Chris Gaines.
Give me that Chris Gaines hair,
I'll
boy.
have to do some research. It may be one in the same wig for all I know. But I think it's awesome that the folks behind the scenes have the sense of humor to let a mullet wig make a farewell tour. And I was really hoping James Olsen would show up wearing it in Supergirl, but I don't know who got to wear it there.
So, do you think that there's going to be like you know how there in the Fantastic Four a couple of years ago, there's the meeting of the Reeds? Are we going to have a meeting of Barrys where, you know, you got Pizza Face Barry and you got regular Barry
Here's
and you
the
got
thing.
old Barry and you got long hair Barry? Like, that'd be cool.
I think that would be cool, man. The Council of the Flashes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. That's going to happen. And you want to know how I know it's going to happen? Because we're 3 seasons into The Flash, and what's been the constant between every single one of them?
Speedsters.
My God, the speedsters. And we don't. Who knows? We're either going to make some more up, we're going to invent some, or we're just going to get more berries. Because
Well, I want to see him bring Bart Allen from the future and have him show up as Impulse, but I want him to cast the guy that plays Titus on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. 'Cause
Oh,
that
what
guy's
a
hilarious.
great idea. That guy needs more work, too.
I think he would bring a whole new level of entertainment to the show.
I think Leslie versus Flash might be my favorite Flash.
And he would provide the top hat for Abracadabra.
Well, I don't doubt it.
I think that goes without saying.
Is there any other WTF moments?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's like these weird moments where for simplicity's sake, like they show that it's incredibly difficult to deal with the Black Flash, for example. And the Black Flash was explained to be Hunter Zolomon's corpse, who's now taking over the role of the time wraiths and chasing people down who are disobeying the time stream or whatever. And, it's this incredibly feared entity, but when they need to get him out of the show, like they've written themselves into a corner because the Black Flash is coming after Savitar. And how do they get him out of that? Well, they just have Caitlin Snow shoot him with ice and dissolve him. But if it's that easy, why hasn't she already done that to every speedster she's encountered,
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, he's a ghost, man. Just another one should show up, right?
He's a great looking villain too. I love the costume. I love the skull face on him. It looks great.
And I also like the way that they, because in the comics, Black Flash is a separate entity, but I like the way that they had Hunter Zolomon, now that he's dead and burned up, he became the Black Flash. I like that instead of just throwing more and more speedsters in there because they've already kind of muddied the water. They've already brought in the rival, for heaven's sake.
Yeah. A little late for that.
I
But
love
there are a couple of times where it just seems like if the story needs someone to take a speedster out of it, it's extremely easy to do. But then at the same time, it's like impossible when Barry needs to stop a speedster.
Yep.
I love how there are a couple of moments in here that are just like silly, corny TV cliches where it's just like, we've got to, this actor cannot be here, so we need to conveniently write them out of the story. Julian's going to stay across seas for a little while on account of the actor can't be here.
And let's talk about how much more significant I thought Julian. How much more important that I thought Draco Malfoy was going to be to this season than he turned out to be in the end.
I'll say this though, I like him. I think he's.
Yeah,
I think he's
I
become
like
a
him
real.
just fine.
He's an actual actor also, which the show so desperately needs.
Mhm.
You have Grant Gustin, you got the dude from Law and Order, and then you got the kid from Harry Potter, and that's basically all your actors because everybody else is just there for window dressing.
They're okay, but he's.
But I mean, he really seemed like he was going to be a significant, important part of the story in the first part of the season, and by the second half, he's makes what is written for him is simply reduced to being lovesick with Caitlin, and nothing else.
But
You're
at the
right.
same time,
and by all, but like if you really think about it, that dude should be in charge of the team in the first place, since he's the one with the answers.
And not only that, if you think about all this stuff about alchemy and Savitar was using his gifts to give people meta powers and using the Philosopher's Stone and all this stuff they were setting up, you really doesn't make any sense now that we know that Savitar, and I guess here's the final spoiler, Savitar, evil Barry from the future, like all of that stuff was clearly just to waste time in the first half of the season, because none of that really makes sense when you get to the end and how the story arc plays out.
Yeah, I don't understand why they didn't start with the big crossover as the season opener for all of these shows in the first place.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I really get the feeling that this season was not written as a season at all, because where it starts and where it finishes doesn't feel like a cohesive thought. Now, maybe they had a plan and changed it, or maybe they started without a plan, but they really bring in like some concepts and some significant things in the beginning that just don't match up. If someone tried to watch all 26 episodes, let's say, over a week, they would really, really notice it. But the way they stretch it out so much with a couple of breaks in the season, maybe it's easier to swallow. But there's a lot of stuff in that first part of the season that's just dropped threads, no payoff for it.
Yeah, for sure. I also don't think that the kid who's playing Wally West is very good either. Like, I like the fact that he is different looking than comic book Wally West. That part is great, but I don't like the actor. I think he's a bad actor.
Why does his hair change like towards this little, almost last half of the season? Did I miss something?
Maybe you went to the barber. I mean, that happens.
I know, but
and
like,
also isn't he in all those dumb Insurgent movies or whatever they are?
I don't know the answer to that.
I've seen those movies. Do I remember him in them? No. He might
be in Maze Runner stuff. That might be what you're thinking of.
I don't remember.
Yeah, he's in something that isn't the Hunger Games.
I've seen all those, and if he was, he doesn't make a very lasting impression. Let's put it that way.
He's
in
in
the
the
lucky
starving
thing-
tournament.
The lucky thing about this is that we have all of the knowledge at our fingertips. So
Not
give me a
gonna do
second.
it.
Yeah, he's an Insurgent. That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he Triss?
Yes, he is Triss. That's true.
Okay.
Yeah. He was actually.
He's Uriah.
Who cares? There's a guy in there named Four, for heaven's sake. All right. The last one's going to TV, and none of them wanted to do it. Can you blame them? Honestly, the movie should have ended. Quick Jag. If that second movie would have ended, it would have been a perfect ending to that series. They tried to keep going on when they should have left well enough alone. Anywho, don't watch those movies. But he's boring. I like Jesse coming in. That's always
I
good.
do like Jessie Quick. I'm glad that she and Wally finally got their powers too, because they strung that out way too long before they got their powers.
And
I just wish that everybody wasn't related. I mean, I know that's the way comic books are, but why is everybody related?
Yeah.
Because Jessie Quick didn't need to be related. They could have just brought her in from Earth 2 by some other means. They didn't have to make her HR's daughter.
Yeah,
exactly.
But it lends to a little bit of emotional stuff later. But at the same time, but I like her. The actress is good looking. She's a decent enough actress. She's all right. There's a couple times she's called upon in here, and I think she does fine. Whereas Iris at the end is crying. It was like, "Oh, you've got to leave," and I don't buy it for a single second.
Yeah, I know. She's.
I'm
really,
just
really
like,
bad,
I'm like,
man.
you are struggling hard at trying to look like you're sad, aren't you, dear? Good night.
Good thing she's really pretty.
Yeah, I mean, if she wasn't really pretty, this would not be good. But I don't know. But now I'll say this: one thing that I do love is several times we get a lot of references to Julian that aren't really towards him. So we got the Philosopher's Stone, little Harry Potter reference there, and there's it's a madhouse in here, which he also was in one of the Planet of the Apes movies.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Was he in one of the Charlton Heston ones or the newer ones?
Yeah, Charlton Heston when he wasn't freaking born, Bruce. Yes. He was in the. I can't remember if it was the first one or the second one, but he was like one of the guys who was like he was in the habitat there. And he was like really mean to all the apes and stuff.
Right, I do remember that.
So he's got two references to his movies and stuff, which I don't know that they were specifically written for that, but it was fun that they were there.
And I also, it's not really in the final 8 that we're talking about here, but when they go back to Gorilla City, just the enthusiasm that Julian has for that trip, I'm glad he got he got a little bit of a push in the episode to make him more involved in the story and made it more enjoyable for me.
But I love it. We give him a little outfit and everything, and he's set to go on an adventure.
Gets a pith helmet.
He's set to go, man, and he's just like, this is not the first adventure I've been on, lady, and has a little swig of his water jug, and he's off to the races. I love it.
He's in Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
There you go.
Now, what do you guys think of the concept of a speed bazooka to trap Savitar?
I think they really loved the idea of the word bazooka because they said it, I don't know, 1 billion times.
And then, we've also got this new version of Wells, from Earth 91 or something that he came from. And, he absolutely has 0 to contribute to the team until the last episode.
No,
but
that's not true. That is not true at all, man, because
Yeah.
he's the one who makes the link at the beginning of the season. Because they think he's smart because he tricks them in, like, is episode 2 or 3?
Yeah.
Where he comes up with the concept of it, which, so they can string that along that the dude isn't a genius, which I thought was really clever. I thought that was a really great concept this year, that usually the guy who's the smartest guy in the room isn't the smartest guy in the room. I think the drumsticks thing is a stupid, it's a stupid thing.
It's fine.
See, he's so different.
But let's talk about this, though. Let's talk about the workhorse of this entire series that is Tom Cavanaugh.
Yeah, I love
That
Tom
man is
Cavanaugh, man. He
killing
played,
it.
Yeah.
He's going to play a new role every year, and I guess we're going to see recurrences from his previous roles every season, and I just like it. I think it's gotten to the point where they say, you know what, just show up, show us what you got, we'll ride around it.
But while they're there, and he's like in the same room with himself several times, it's different enough to where it feels like two different characters proper. He's
great.
He's
man.
a really good
love
actor.
He's great. He is great. And, I know HR is supposed to be an annoying character, and he nails it, but I love that character.
I do, too. There was something about him that was fun. And, again, it's great what Cavanaugh does here because, like, we've spent these other seasons with the other Harrison Wells just being an utter just D-bag. And this guy, he's a little bit more lighthearted. He admits he's a little bit absent-minded and kind of dumb, and he kind of leans into it a little bit, which is fine, right?
Yep.
But
he
it totally
is the person
works.
who came up with the idea of calling it the Speed Force Bazooka.
Yeah. And we all can't. We all can't bat 1,000. It's pretty tough.
But yeah, it was another one of those things where it's like, okay, they're going to use the Speed Force Bazooka, but we have to come up with a reason for it not to work. How about this? Savitar still has that Philosopher's Stone in his pocket, so it doesn't work. I don't know that I totally buy that. And also, if he had the Philosopher's Stone in his pocket, shouldn't he be doing like more Philosopher's Stone-y stuff with it than keeping it in case he gets shot by a speed bazooka?
Well, it's the thing that we talked about last year with the show is that there's way too many episodes because they have to pad out episodes all the time.
Network
It's
TV.
it's a mistake.
Yeah.
And, I think like you said at either the top of the show or the pre-show, Bruce, 12 episodes is just fine. Switch it out with a different superhero. Now Berlanti has 17 different comic book properties on the CW. Just switch them out from bit to bit. That's the way to do it.
Save
And
some
there's
money.
a weird thing, though, because with so many episodes and they're trying to pad out and put in filler episodes and not always paying attention to the arc, that I feel like they drop more threads when they have more time, in theory, to tie those threads up.
Well, I have a theory on this, which is that I think that the writer's room switched out at the middle of this year with this show.
I think I agree with you 100%.
I
Even
think
the demands were such that, the team of writers was larger than you would normally expect or something.
Right. I think that there's a really good it's either their last episode, the writers' room's last episode, or their first, because I think that that 2-part Grodd series is great. It's great.
It was a lot of.
Yeah,
it was
I
a lot
agree
of
with
good. I mean, and, hey, you got
Now,
Keith David coming up
who
in there.
is, on paper, who's the showrunner for Flash?
Well,
Anybody know? I mean, is it supposed to be Berlanti
I
as
think
the showrunner?
Berlanti and
He's-
Kreisberg have the lion's share. The two of them.
Berlanti
He
is
is-
who?
Kreisberg, Andrew
Okay.
Kreisberg.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here.
Because it feels to me almost like it's not necessarily a showrunner change because Berlanti's still at the top, but it feels like the guy who's actually running the show and answers to the showrunner changed somewhere along the way too. Because
Well,
that's the
also-
kind of consistency that you need that guiding hand to hold.
And I also think that because Jeff Johns is also attached to this show, and I think that he probably just didn't have time to work on the show now.
Yeah, I think his focus was on Wonder Woman when this season was being taken care of.
It feels like his broad strokes, but not his details.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. That's how it feels to me.
Excellent point.
Yeah, he has a certain reverence for the Golden Age that didn't come through on this show.
Yeah.
Now, what do you guys think of Gypsy, the kind of a new character here?
I liked her fine enough, even though it seemed weird that she was able to so easily handcuff Barry in the park when she wanted to stop him. The same guy who was able to vibrate an entire train through a mountain of rubble, she just managed to handcuff him, and that was it.
Yeah. Now, honestly, I think she's a better actress. I wish she was like Iris, because she at least can act, it seems.
Yeah. Agreed.
To me.
She's a better
And
actress.
she's good looking. She can act. I'm like, oh, man, it's a bummer she's not Iris.
And I like it too that she's finally brought a little more depth to Cisco's character, because I think they were struggling to do much with his character at this point, other than let his hair get a little longer.
God bless
So I'm glad
Cisco.
I'm glad they brought her on for that too.
Cisco just seems like he's like the actor is also trying to have a hand in some of his writing and stuff.
Yep.
Look, can you just make me kind of a playboy? I just want to. Where are the ladies in this script, bro? Throw a couple ladies in here for me, man. I just need a little. Do you want me to give you a hundo? What's going on here? What do I got to do to get a couple ladies on my side?
Hey, he did get to be a tech billionaire for one episode.
Oh my gosh, that was a bad one.
But no matter what they do with that character, because I think that of the three of us, I've probably been the hardest on Vibe throughout the years here. No matter how bad that character is on the show, it's not even remotely close to Vibe in Justice League of America. That character is the breakdancing Mexican.
See, I still
stereotype.
argue that they need to introduce the breakdancing to this character to put him over the top, to
I
take him
think
to
he
the
meant-
next level of fandom.
I
He
swear,
needs to
I
do some
think he
breakdancing.
mentioned dancing once in this episode, or once in this season, if memory serves. So, I don't think it's that far away. But as annoying as the character can be sometimes, he's got enough. There's enough gravity to where it works well enough. It's
Is
all
it-
right.
we've been bagging on the show pretty hard. What do we like about it?
We had another King Shark cameo. I like King Shark.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know you do.
more of
We
that,
got to bring
please.
Snart back in for that same episode. I'm a big fan of Wentworth Miller.
Let me tell you, Wentworth Miller is doing something just that special that people just don't do, which is he's pulling in a great acting performance and still chewing on all of the scenery to where it doesn't even exist anymore.
From the entire Berlanti verse, I guess you could call this, he is my favorite performer out of, all of it.
And on paper, when you look at what he's doing, you're just like, this should be awful, but somehow it works.
Oh, Barry, you should know better than that. Did I kill it? Was that spot on?
Yeah, that's pretty much right then and there. I honest to God, I thought Wentworth Miller was on the line.
I'm available for bar mitzvahs.
But just the hey, everything is just going through and just the tone of voice. It's like, this should be dumb and stupid and doesn't work, but it's dumb and stupid and it works.
Yeah, agreed.
There's nothing subtle about his performance, so that appeals to me.
Yeah, well, of course it does.
Yeah, I mean, geez, man, you're the king of that stuff. Now that Adam West is no longer with us, I think that Wentworth Miller is taking up that flag, and that's all right by me.
Yeah, no kidding. But
something I think was really positive, even though I can pick apart a million times over the flawed logic they used to get there, but that sort of unexpected ending with the Speed Force trying to destroy the world, and Barry had to give himself up to the Speed Force, which means now Wally will be the Flash for the first 15 minutes of the first episode of next season.
That's exactly right.
But I thought it was nice to kind of go back to a little bit of a season cliffhanger format, which they've done on a couple of the Berlanti shows this season, because the previous seasons really wrapped up like, if we don't get renewed, this was a good place to end. This one, along with Arrow, they really doubled down on the whole cliffhanger ending, and I thought that was cool.
But
it
honestly,
kind of has just a slight aroma of Crisis on Infinite Earths to it.
but you're right.
Well,
If
also
this
at
did
this point
end,
now, Berlanti has absolutely no worries that they're going to get rid of his shows, you know.
This is the lowest rated season, though, that Flash has had.
But it's still one of the highest rated shows on CW.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, when your worst season is still raking in the money, I think you're all right with it. But I mean, it's still, and as silly as it was and stuff, and like you said, it did come really fast out of nowhere. The show has a good job of kind of pulling the heartstrings, man. Because I it worked on me. I was like, oh, that's sad, man. But you're right.
But-
It did get undercut by the fact that, like, yeah, he's going to be back real quick come next season.
And also, I mean, some bizarre logic jumps and logic flaws. Like, number one, why is Barry's mom the Speed Force exactly? You know, and if she is his mom, then why would she insist he become a prisoner? Number two, when the Speed Force, it existed at least 2 seasons without any prisoners whatsoever. Now it suddenly has to have one. Number three, you know what? Don't we have some like criminal speedsters still out there? How about we catch one of those bad boys from like Earth 3 and throw them in there?
Well,
Or even better yet, Jay Garrick's kind of an old timer, man. You know, how many good years could he possibly have left? Throw him in there instead of Barry.
Well, and I just said, like, well, I was thinking, I'm like, didn't we just pull Garrick out of the Speed Force? Can't we just throw his old butt back in? What's
Yeah,
the
like
point of that? What do we got to go send him back? We sent Jesse Quick to his planet to go save all that crap. What's the point?
Yeah,
We're like, get
now
back in there,
Garrick's
old
back.
timer.
Let Jesse Quick do a year, or even come up with a rotation. You know, like
Exactly. Do it like that. Do it where every it's your 2 weeks.
It's a Speed Force timeshare.
I love that, the Speed Force timeshare.
Yeah, set up and make it nice. I mean,
Yeah.
it's infinite, right? So just set up shop and like, this is vacation for me. I'm taking a Speed Force vacation.
But by
And
the
we've
way,
already
clean it.
established it's ludicrously easy to make a time remnant. Throw one of those guys in there. Say, sorry, man, sucks to be me. Well, your version of me.
I don't want to do it after Kid Flash, man. The guy never cleans anything up. It's just always dirty when I get back in that Speed Force. Just, I mean, and we're supposed to give him a fine, but everybody's
I would
lax
start
on it.
playing lawyer ball with him. I'd say, now exactly how fast does one have to be considered a speedster? Like, could we just throw a wide receiver from the NFL in there? Would that satisfy you?
Could be, who's to say? Now, I'll say this, something else that just kept bugging me. Now, granted, I think this has happened through all 3 seasons, so I'm sure it's still, this is applicable to everywhere, but I don't know why in this season it bugged me more than anything. Stop playing this music. Stop playing this, like, every time we go and there's going to be some emotional scene or something, we got some other hipster music playing in the background. People don't do this. People do not just sit with the hipster music in the background and have teary-eyed discussions about flipping nonsense. Just stop that. Just quit it. And your giant flipping apartment that you could never afford at a job you never go to. This is as bad as Friends.
Man, the emotional high points of my life were always occurring with Weird Al on in the background.
Always?
The birth of his
Yes.
children. Amish Paradise was playing in the
My
background.
Bologna.
So when the other thing with the show is, wouldn't they make a whole lot more money if they actually had like some sponsorship from a coffee company? Everyone's always drinking coffee, always on this show.
They make such
So
a
wha-
weird point of it, don't they? And if you'd have said Duncan, perhaps I'd go, well, Duncan they need to make a little change this month. So Duncan came in, but they kept plugging a non-coffee coffee.
I
CC
don't understand
Jitters.
how they're running that show. I really don't.
Well, I still have I think they're making the long play where Berlanti wants to open a chain of CC Jitters across the U.S.
But on account of they didn't half of the
Coffee so
coffee,
fast you think the Flash made it.
but half of the coffee that they were drinking in this show wasn't even from there. I don't think I think it was from
Oh,
another
it was
place.
always CC Jitters.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh my gosh! Anyway, I just got every
Except
time
for
I heard coffee,
in
I
the
just roll
future
my
when
eyes.
HR bought it and it became HR Jitters.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the cups they have the cups with the labels on them.
And they're pointing them camera side out and everything. It is,
They are.
why I don't know. But yes, I don't know. And I kept thinking every time I think, I'm just like, oh, Cisco being a ladies' man is just it's always kind of funny to me. I don't know why. I look at the kid and I'm just like, he's not a bad looking guy or nothing, but it's just like I don't buy his like. That's right, Mama. You know you like me. What's up?
Man,
I
I
don't
can't
buy
remember.
any
How
of it.
was his singing in the Music Meister episode? Can the guy at least sing?
I don't remember. I put that as far out of my mind as I could. That was one of the eye rollers for sure. And it was just like, all right.
And man, I love the absolutely high falsetto that Martin Stein used to sing, because that guy has sung like for real before. He's the kind of guy who's done a lot of work, a lot of stage work. But, I'm the kind of guy, I would have just had him doing sort of the old man doing a rap song kind of thing.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You have an actual honest guy. Isn't it you who who said that he was almost in Peter, Paul, and Mary?
Yes. The guy was a really good folk singer.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to have him doing like the cheap laugh from the really bad 90s parody movie where the old guy's rapping. Like, how in Robin Hood Men in Tights, they just broke into a rap. Like, there was a time where you didn't really need the rap song to be funny. Just the inclusion of a rap song was supposed to be humorous. Do you remember those days?
Boy, does not age well.
Like the early 90s is when that happened.
Oh, yeah. It's not good.
For some reason, I'm thinking of Jim Belushi when I think of that. For some reason, I don't even know why. Like, it seems like Jim Belushi did a lot of rapping in the 90s.
And honestly, it's even better when it's an old person. If you got a granny doing it, double the better.
Oh, man. That's what made weddings so bearable.
It's like, isn't she good? It's an old lady, and she's doing the new hippity hop. It's good stuff. I love it. It sounds like we complained about the season a bunch, but I did like it overall.
I think one of the best inclusions of the season was something subtle, and just the whole idea that the world that HR came from was one in which coffee beans had gone extinct, and that explained the going overboard with all the coffee this season. I thought that was kind of a fun little thing to throw in there that was absolutely unnecessary to the plot, but I found it enjoyable. And
it was a lot like in his reaction to nothing affects me. It doesn't affect me. Nothing affects me. I'm good. Reminded me a lot of what I had to deal with this weekend. So
the character redemption for him, it was his fault that Iris was found on Earth 2, so he took her place with this really bizarre hologram thing that they have, and he died so that she might live, kind of thing. Yeah, it was nice and touching. Plus, it lets me know we're going to get another Kavanaugh character next season, because there was part of me wondering if this one was going to stick for a while.
Now,
I think you're right. I mean, I think it's a mistake too. I think that at this point now, you've set that up. You've set that bit up. You got to keep going now.
Yeah, because they had set up the angle where he could never return home with the gypsy story. So I thought maybe that was their way of saying, we kind of like this guy. We're going to keep him around for another season and see what happens.
Well,
he's going to have like a Scottish accent or something.
I was about to say, my next
he's
question.
He's going to be a rapper.
Yeah, my next question was going to be, what's your next HR moment? Who's the next incarnation going to be?
It's going to be somebody with an accent.
Okay.
It's going to be fascist dictator from Earth 717 or something, and he's going to come in and just start barking around orders in some inoffensive, vague accent that's just not English.
I just want we're doing so well with the monkey episodes. Have another monkey in there. Why not?
I say Kavanaugh.
I like that. Yeah.
Eye patch. We got
I come from Pirate Planet.
Mustache in there somewhere. You got to have one of them. Ooh, fake eye. Think about that. People are just
nowhere near as entertaining as what you had going with the eye patch.
People are just looking around going, which one is it? I can't even.
Eye patch Kavanaugh.
Eye patch sold separately. All right. Now, before we get down to our final review of this, we have to find out how this program relates to our good old friend Sylvester Stallone.
Thank you very much, Adam. I have a prepared statement. I hate you all.
Yeah.
I hate you all so much. If it were possible to power a robot with my hate, you would have a very powerful robot indeed. Actually, if you're able to power a robot with my hate, you'd probably just solve the world's energy problems, and you should stop listening to the show immediately. But next thing you know, it's a few years later, and Al Gore makes a documentary explaining how my hate reserves are becoming dangerously low. And then there's Sean hate deniers claiming that my hate is just naturally dissolving. And you get angrier and angrier every time you get on a Facebook. You have some friend of your mom posting articles from news sites you've never heard of claiming that Sean's hate is just a conspiracy invented by liberal elitists to cause panic. So you block her. Your mom calls you asking why you blocked Doris. And now your mom is mad at you. And HMP's very own Adam Portrais decides the world isn't complete until he gives his hot take on Sean's hate. And it'll be some contrarian alternative view because he's a free thinker, even though he doesn't actually believe it. And then I yell at him about it because this joke is finally eating its own tail. Anyway, coming up with the Stallone connection for the same TV series 6 different times, you can chug it, Adam. Bruce, you can chug it too.
Sean, just what exactly can we chug here? I'm not sure.
Don't you worry about what you're chugging.
Ooh.
A man named Season Kent is your Stallone connection this week. He's the music supervisor on The Flash, and he's the music supervisor for the 2013 Stallone Schwarzenegger movie Escape Plan. What does a music supervisor do? I have no clue. I imagine it's a dude holding a clipboard, staring off into the middle distance, listening to soundtrack music and saying things like, needs more bassoon. I could have looked it up, but I didn't because I had to find a Stallone connection for the 6th time. 6 times, guys. On a show that's shot in Canada, and its biggest name is the guy who played the Dicky Kid in Harry Potter, on a network that has turned into the crappy superhero TV show network. Now, look, I know that Bruce is going to have problems with the 17th Batman movie we watch. And when that shining day comes, I will say to Bruce, dude, bro, I feel your pain. Because I had to find 6 different Stallone connections for The Flash. So there you have it, HMPers. This week's Stallone connection. Now, Savitar and HR, let's review Season 3 of The Flash so we can immediately review Season 4 of The Flash.
Coming next week.
Twice.
That's true. It's so very, very true. All right, well, let's get down to it. We're going to count the season here as a whole. Bruce, where does The Flash Season 3 fall in the HMP Robin rating system for you, sir?
This season had a number of missteps. It meandered in the middle in a way that suggests to me that the writers either didn't know how the season would end at first, or the end changed around mid-season. Caitlin's arc, for me, was the most compelling, and I felt like Julian's arc plummeted faster than a turkey dropped from the WKRP helicopter on Thanksgiving.
Holy cow.
Ratings were down this season, and I can see why. I'm just sticking this with the old Damian Wayne. There was a little bit of good, but it wasn't great like the last 2 seasons.
Now, here with his Charles in Charge reference, Sean Keenan.
You know, I to keep with Bruce's vein, you know, I think that they did it right on F Troop. You know, this series, I've gone from really, really enjoying it. Like I can remember the first season, there being times where I was like, you know what? Like I just have fun watching this show. It's not fun anymore, guys. Like, you know, the good stuff is fewer and fewer defined, and they just keep hammering away with these romantic moments with Barry and what's her face, where it's just like, how much longer are we gonna have to watch Iris like pretending that she can cry on command? You know, it's getting to a point with this show where it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I preferred Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this year over Flash. Ooh. I did. I thought it was a better season. So I'm not gonna go all the way with this and say it's a Jason Todd season, but it's bad. I'll give it a very, very low Damian Wayne.
Okay. I'm going just by the skin of your teeth, Tim Drake. But but the majority I would say is probably more Damien. But the stuff that I do like, I really do still like. But it's waning. It's definitely waning. And if they do more of this in season 4, it's going to be tougher. It's going to be tougher, and that's saying something for the Cadillac of WB shows, And it's a darn shame. But I hope they kick it up. I hope they come up with more ideas. But like I said, this is the Flash TV show is the best and worst of comics. It's the best when it's kicking, and it's the worst when it's struggling for a story, just clawing at whatever's there and trying to fill in those spots. And I know you're just not going to be able to take away 22 episodes from a season just because on account of that ain't how network television works. But if you're gonna do that, by God, you got to double down, bro. You've got to double down and make sure that what you're doing is going to be top notch. And boy, I want that to happen, but if we keep on the trajectory that we're on, it's not gonna. So, just a ever so slight Tim Drake.
Tim Drake.
All right, everybody. That is it for this episode. But we're not done. No, sir. We've got more coming, as we do every single week here. Now, for those of you that are in the Charlotte, North Carolina, and surrounding areas, we want to let you know that there's a little thing out there called the Heroes Convention, Heroes Con over there in Charlotte. Hold on, my headset just popped out here and something went funky. Vamp for me, boys, vamp.
It's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday here in Charlotte. And
Fabian Nicieza, creator of Deadpool, is going to be there. So I'm going to get him to sign something for me. Ron Mars, the guy who stuck the chick in the fridge in the Green Lantern comics, is going to be there. So I'm going to get him to sign something for me, too. It's going to be a good time. We'll be bouncing around. We always love bumping into one or two people who recognize us there. And, of course, we always have fun with some of the creators. Hopefully we'll have a story as colorful as the Jim Steranko story that we had after last year's invasion.
Well, I've got news for you, Brucey. He is back this year.
Oh, I got news for you. I'm not going anywhere near him this year. I did it once. That was enough.
Because you're afraid he's going to get you in a headlock that you can't get out of. We understand.
Nothing worse than getting beat up by a 5'1", 82-year-old.
He does look old man strong, too, so be careful. Maybe his wig gives him power.
That's what it is.
Are you trying to tell me that is not that man's God-given hair? I don't buy that for just a second. So yeah, man, tweet us out here if you're out at the Heroes Con this coming weekend. We'd like to say, hey, what's up? We've done that with a couple of folks in the past, and we really appreciate that, man. So
I think Roy Thomas is there this year, so I might corner him about that Bill Finger movie.
We can do.
Oh, that's a good point, man. You totally should.
So, but we've of course got things planned out here, and of course next week we've got a special episode. This one is actually our first patron who's gone to the $75 level so he can tell us what to watch. So we're going to be watching, I believe it's episode, is it 29?
26.
26. I thought 6 and
Epilogue,
somehow I changed it to 9.
is the name of it.
Of Justice League Unlimited. So check us out for that come next week, man. I'm excited. I hear a lot of. I haven't seen it. I hear a lot of good things about that episode. So that's going to be.
It's a wonderful one, man.
A good old time. And
so we don't have to watch 8 hours of something this week.
Oh,
no, but we do expect you to watch it 16 times to make up for it.
All right, good enough.
You gotta put it in. You gotta put it in the time somehow. Okay. But yeah, we'll be doing that. And guess what, everybody? The episode itself, we're all three going to be in the same room again. It's going to be fun, man. So we'll do all that. And, of course, patreon.com, heromoviepodcast.com, all that kind of good jazz. In the meantime, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet this week, sir?
Go to Amazon.com, search for Chubby Wizard, and read to your heart's content, man. Chubby Wizard, Wrath of the Manticore, 5-star rated book on Amazon. Fantasy, action, comedy at its finest. You can't get better entertainment for $1.99. That is unless you're a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, in which case you can read it for free. Don't forget about Dragon and the Needles or my other podcasts, Chubby Wizard, Heroes and Villains, and Preacher coming up again soon.
Gosh, can you get off your butt and do some work? Keenan.
Hero Movie Sean on Twitter, or start looking out for Preacher Podcast because we're going to be starting that up soon.
It is coming around the corner, boy. We excited about that, I'll tell you what. And like I said, HeroMoviePodcast.com, Patreon.com/HMP for those of you out there. And for those of you that have helped the show out, thank you guys so much. Until next week, when we talk about Justice League Unlimited, for Sean Keenan, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portrais. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.